This is the story of two beautiful, innocent girls, Katie and Nancy, who are agricultural students. They're best friends and are about to leave for a farm in New York to continue their higher studies. Both are extremely excited, planning to tour Europe and do lots of shopping along the way. The next morning, their uncle Jason, an FBI agent, comes to pick them up. Katie and Nancy go to Jason's house, where they meet his girlfriend. In this new city, Katie and Nancy decide to pick new, adventurous names. Katie chooses Heather and Nancy chooses Ripley. The next day, Jason drops them off at the bus stop for their journey to the agricultural farm. Jason waits with them, but Katie tells him the bus will arrive shortly and he should leave for his work, and they'll message him once they reach. Jason insists they use a secret code word so he knows they arrived safely. Katie says she will use Apple, but Jason warns her to use a different alphabet, code word, every time, so no one can figure it out. Jason then leaves for work. As soon as he's gone, two boys, Zed and Lucas, notice them driving by. Katie and Nancy decide to grab coffee at a nearby restaurant. The same two boys, Zed and Lucas, also come to the restaurant and start chatting them up. Katie and Nancy tell them their new names, Heather and Ripley, and mention they're going to the New York agricultural farm. Zed seizes the moment, saying they're going there too, and if the girls want, they can ride along. Katie initially refuses, but Nancy convinces her, and the girls agree. However, instead of taking them to the farm, Zed and Lucas take them to their remote house right next to the jungle. Seeing the remote location, Katie and Nancy get scared and immediately ask them to take them to the farm. Just then, Zed and Lucas's mother comes out. She warmly invites them for tea and assures them that her sons will drop them off later. While they are having tea, Katie gets a message from her uncle Jason. She quickly replies using the code word Apple. Jason sees the code word and believes they have safely reached the farm. But the situation is dark. As soon as the girls eat the food the mother gives them, they realize it was drugged. They understand something awful is about to happen and try to run, but they quickly collapse unconscious just a short distance away. Zed and Lucas carry them back into the house. When the girls wake up the next day, they find themselves chained with iron fetters in the jungle. Terrified, they scream for help. Zed appears and tells them they are in a remote place where no one will hear them, so screaming is useless. A little later, a man named Boris arrives. He shows Katie her phone, mentions the message from Jason, and asks about the meaning of Apple. Katie explains it's a code word, meaning they are safe. Boris then replies to Jason, writing "everything is fine" and adding the code word Apple. Following this, the captors force Katie and Nancy to bathe in front of them. Suddenly, a police officer named Sharif arrives. Katie and Nancy beg him for help, but they soon discover that the police officer is also working with Zed and Lucas. This realization is horrifying. Katie and Nancy try to reason with them, offering them money to be let go, but they are completely ignored. The police officer then takes a Viagra tablet and chooses Katie for himself. The next scene shows the police officer coming out of Katie's container, confirming he assaulted her. Meanwhile, Jason is getting very worried about the girls, especially because Katie used the Apple code word a second time against his explicit instructions. The captors then send a crazy, drug-addicted man into Nancy's container. He brutally presses a lit cigarette against Nancy's stomach, making her scream loudly, and then assaults her. It's clear that these people are running a vicious racket, forcing Katie and Nancy into prostitution. Jason, now deeply concerned, calls the New York agricultural farm to check on the girls. He is told that neither of them has arrived. Jason realizes they are in serious trouble and immediately sets out to find them. The girls' ordeal continues. For the next customer, Zed and Lucas put masks over the girls' faces. The customer arrives wearing a pig mask. Zed and Lucas remove the girls' masks to show their faces. The girls scream in terror upon seeing the man in the pig mask. The man chooses Nancy and takes her into the container to assault her. After he leaves, Katie checks on Nancy and finds her in a terrible state. Elsewhere, Jason goes to the police station and meets the same police officer Sharif who had assaulted Katie. Jason informs him about the kidnapping and reveals that he is an FBI agent. The police officer asks how he knows they were kidnapped. Jason explains that Katie repeated the code word, which she was told not to do, making him suspect trouble. In the jungle, police officer Sharif immediately calls Boris to give him the full report, that Katie's uncle is an FBI agent, and that Katie had given them false information about the code word. Boris tells Zed that they must get rid of the girls immediately or they'll be in trouble, especially since they plan to catch more new girls from the city. Katie, standing near her container, secretly overhears their entire conversation. Following this, Boris goes into Katie's container and assaults her. Jason, determined, goes to the restaurant where Katie and Nancy met the boys. He asks a worker about the girls, and the worker tells him about Boris's car. The next day, Katie tells Nancy that their captors are planning to kill them. Just then, Zed and Boris arrive with the drug-addicted man who had assaulted Nancy. They tell him they'll be back soon and to keep a close watch on the girls so they don't run away. As soon as they leave, Katie begins to flirt with the addict and encourages him to get intimate. As she gets close, she bites his throat hard, drawing blood. The addict dies instantly. The two girls quickly unlock their fetters and hide. When the police officer Sharif arrives, they sneak out, steal his car, and drive away. Their revenge has begun. They go to a mall and buy strange and dangerous items: hammers, axes, tennis balls, lots of nails, and other weapons. They ask the cashier for Boris's home address, which she gives them. Jason also reaches Boris's car insurance company and manages to get Boris's home address. Boris is at home listening to music. Katie and Nancy arrive. They take a tennis ball covered with nails and throw it at his face, knocking him unconscious. When he wakes up, he finds himself tied to a table. Boris offers them a large amount of money to let him go, but Katie and Nancy are only interested in vengeance. Jason, meanwhile, has arrived outside Boris's house. Inside, Katie and Nancy demand the address of the Pig Mask Man, which Boris gives them. They then shove a nail-covered baseball bat into his backside. Boris screams loudly. Hearing this, Jason rushes inside and finds Boris dead. He hears a car speeding away, but by the time he gets outside, Katie and Nancy are gone. Jason quickly returns to the police station and begins questioning police officer Sharif again. While trying to call Katie, he realizes that Katie's phone is with the police officer. Before Jason can react, the police officer stands behind him with a gun at his head. Meanwhile, Katie and Nancy arrive at a church. They realize that the Pig Mask Man is the father of this church. Katie sneaks up and knocks him unconscious with a rod. They tie him to the back of the car and drag him towards the town. They buy matches and petrol from a shop, douse him in petrol, and burn him alive. Back at the station, the police officer, Sharif, ties Jason to a chair. He brings in two new kidnapped girls. As he prepares to assault them, Katie and Nancy silently enter and attack his head with a rod, knocking him unconscious. When he wakes up, he is tied to a chair and starts begging them for forgiveness. Katie puts one bullet in a gun and starts threatening him, taking turns shooting at him. He survives every shot, which makes him smile. In the very next second, Katie puts more bullets in the gun, shoots him, and kills him instantly. Katie and Nancy free the two newly kidnapped girls and ask them to untie Jason before leaving. The girls untie Jason and tell him that the other two girls asked them to do this. Jason finally understands that the avenging women were Katie and Nancy. The revenge continues. They find Zed and Lucas's mother drinking. Suddenly, she feels dizzy, collapses, and falls unconscious. When she wakes up, Katie and Nancy have tied her to a chair in the basement. They have also tied Zed right in front of her eyes. Katie and Nancy then start beating Zed with a rod right in front of his mother's eyes until he is dead. His mother screams and cries. They then take her to Lucas's location. They hand Lucas a rod and tell him to kill his own mother, threatening to shoot him if he doesn't. Lucas can't do it, so Nancy shoots and kills him. They then wipe the gun clean and place it in Lucas's hand, making it appear that the mother and son killed each other in a fight. Lucas's mother desperately begs them to spare her, offering all her money. Katie and Nancy laugh, and then Katie takes a cutting machine and mercilessly cuts her head off. In the end, after some time has passed, we see Uncle Jason visiting Katie and Nancy's house and taking them with him back to New York. The movie concludes with this scene. Like the video and subscribe the channel to watch these type of videos more.